Welcome to another episode of the Alamo City Sportscast with Mike Jimenez and Joe Garcia. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Join the discussion as we broadcast live from beautiful West San Antonio. And remember to tip your hosts as it helps the show grow.
What's up, San Antonio? What's going on, South Texas? This is the Alamo City Sportscast coming at you from the west side of San Antonio. My name is Mike Jimenez. That's Joe Garcia. I'm on location today. Joe, it's a bad day for Spurs fans, man. The regular season got going for the silver and black last night, losing 120-109 to our rivals, our I-35 rivals, the Dallas Mavericks. It was an 11-point loss, and I'm taking into mind what was said by Reggie Miller at the end of the show, end of the game. They asked him a very nice question. Hey, Spurs lost this game. Do you think they're going to get better this year? Reggie Miller was politically correct, but what was going on in his head was, no, they're not. They're not. Because Reggie Miller says, this team, quote, does not have any shooters, Joe. Does not have any shooters. And last night's game, don't get me wrong, it was, Spurs were up at the end of the first quarter. It was a close game at halftime. But at any point, did we think the Spurs were going to win this game? At any point, Joe, did you have any hope that the Spurs were going to win this game? I was hoping in the first quarter or two, Champagny, Sohan kind of doing their thing, but it's the same old. Turnover.
Yeah, I mean, it was a turnover-laden game, I'll give you that. But one thing that I did see out of the Spurs is that they were more competitive. Had this happened last season, they would have gotten blown out of the water, man. In this game, you saw them play a little bit better. There was more continuity to the offense, and they're trying to play with a fast pace. And again, they're like one of the fastest teams in the NBA when it comes to pace. They were third last season. I would think that it's going to continue this season. But as you pointed out, the one thing that Spurs fans are seeing is the team just can't shoot any threes. They don't have any bucket getters. And the thing that it really irritated me yesterday is, it's a small sample size. It's one game. But Wemby, man, he didn't look very Wemby-like yesterday. I mean,
well, I hate to say this, Joe. I'm going to throw a word out there.
Yeah.
And this is probably going to be a phrase or a word that I get criticized for down the road. Is it possible that Wemby is just going to be a very good player?
I don't know, man.
No. He's a very good player. He's a top 25 player in the league right now. But Spurs fans were told, given the bill of goods, that he was going to be a generational talent like Shaq, a generational talent like Tim Duncan. Do you think we've actually seen that from Victor Wembanyama in his career? He's shown to be very good, unanimous Rookie of the Year. But we watched him just miss shot after shot after shot, and we're like, oh, this is a one-game sample size. No, there weren't.
Yeah.
It wasn't a one-game sample size because we go back to last year when he shot just 30% from three. Last night, Victor Wembanyama shot 5 for 18, 1 of 8 from three, dude. 12% last night from three.
It was abysmal. And the one thing that I can't get with Wemby, if you see him warming up before the game, he's going, through the motions and stuff like he's going to do something in the paint. He made a living off of yesterday's game by playing in the perimeter. The Spurs keep giving him the ball at the top of the key, at the top of the three-point line. Why?
Yeah.
I'm in position, man. Like, what the hell are you all doing? There's nobody coming over. There's no motion to the offense when they get in the half-court set. Nobody's setting a pick and roll. Nobody's coming over, setting a screen, kind of helping. Everybody's just standing around. Hey, throw me the ball out here in the three-point, over here at the three-point line. Let me try to make a shot. You know it's going to brick. I'm like, what the hell is going on, dude?
Do they give Wemby the ball? They give Wemby the ball diagonal on the left-hand side every single time. And every single time he's going to miss it. What is his accuracy from that shot? I know Matt Larama and Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5 have advanced statistics on certain things. From that diagonal point, left side of the basket, what is his accuracy? Because I don't think I've ever seen him make a basket.
Yeah,
I don't think it's ever happened. He makes it from the top of the key, but from the sides and diagonal, they don't go in. And it's confusing out there because there was about a quarter and a half, Joe, that I forgot that he was even on the damn team.
Yeah. And the thing is that the Spurs did play better. They lose the home opener. They're not home opener, but the season opener. They played better. They were more of a competitive team out there. They played better. There was more continuity to the offense when you compare it to last season. But the problem is that you see some of those things that you didn't like as a Spurs fan carry over from last season over to this season. Zach Collins played better, but he's still booty crumbs out there.
He did play better though.
Matt Lerma says, "Oh, they didn't have that many turnovers, bro. What are you
19? 19. They had 19 turnovers. The Mavericks had 9. That's 10. That's 10 extra possessions in an 11-point game.
That's
now,
like
Joe, even if those possessions evened out, I kind of felt like the Mavericks were toying with us last night. I kind of felt like that Mavericks team had a second gear, a third gear that we weren't going to meet.
They can't. Their first can't sniff that second gear, and that's the thing is you saw them, and they were competitive for the first half, and then the Mavericks came out in that second half, and they just switched it into another gear, and they just went off, dude, and that was it. That third quarter was basically the game right there.
Yeah. A couple of things about last night's game that I found to be interesting. Harrison Barnes went off in the first quarter. Made his first 6 buckets or so. Cooled off towards the end with 7 of 10 for the game. Had 17 points. Harrison Barnes, who had struggled all through preseason, and a lot of Spurs fans were looking at him like, is this guy any good? Chris Paul struggled, man. I got an instant message yesterday from a Spurs writer, if you will, who basically said Chris Paul's washed. Chris Paul yesterday, 1 of 6 shooting, 1 of 4 from 3. He did get some assists. He had 8 assists out there, but he had 3 points. So if you're getting in essentially 30 minutes, 3 points and 8 assists, you are washed. 1 game, but the guy's 39 years old. He's going to be the first point guard to do 20 years in the NBA. Is this an overreaction? Is this what Mike Taylor on In the Building and formerly the Mike Taylor Show calls the knee-jerk reaction? Is that what we're doing right now?
No, I don't know. But Matt Lerma's making me laugh, dude. He's like, last season we would have had 29 turnovers.
Oh, why is he being an apologist? Why is he being an apologist now?
He's being funny, dude. I like that. Good on you, man.
I don't know what to take out of Jeremy Sohan and Julian Champagne's game last night. I really don't, because people were DMing me yesterday or tagging me in various posts basically saying, you owe Champagne an apology. Champagne last night went 7 for 12.
I'm gonna get the
4 of 8 from 3. You can't complain about that 3-point shooting, right? Had 18 points, which along with Jeremy Sohan paced the way for the Spurs. They had the most number of points, right? Julian Champagne played well, but when the Mavericks decided to clamp it down, he got pickpocketed by Kyrie Irving at midcourt in mid crossover dribble. And I was like, you see, that's the thing, man. The talent's not there. He had a good game. As the old saying goes, somebody's got to score, right? Somebody's got to score. Even the worst teams, you have guys who average 15, 18, 20 points per game. Sith coming out and saying, at least we didn't lose by 30. That's where we are as Spurs fan, right?
Right.
As long as they don't lose by 30, right?
Last year we would have lost by 20. Last year we would have lost by 30. You see, this is the thing, though. Spurs fans need to stop making excuses for mediocrity, dude, because it's going to be the same thing again. At the end of the day, the Spurs are going to be a little bit more competitive than they were last season. But this crew that they have around Wemby, this ain't it, man. We've been telling Spurs fans that this ain't it, and they're going to see that again. And at the end of the season, I'm not going to be here and tell you I told you so. But when this team is winning 35 to 38 games again, you're going to be like, well, they're making an improvement. Yes, and that's what we want. We want to see them get better. But you also want to see some promise from your younger players, these guys that they're hyping up and saying, this guy's it, this guy's going to be the one that's going to carry you all to the promised land. And quite frankly, right now, we're not seeing that yet, but it's still early on. One game. It's only one game. I get that. But Spurs fans are tired of the losing, man. They want to see something to get excited about. Hopefully, they'll show us something come Saturday and the home opener,
Yeah, Isaiah Aguilar reaches out and says, did y'all want Chris Paul to be a 35 minute plus a game kind of guy. He's old. Let him facilitate and teach the rooks. By the end of the season, him and Castle will be splitting time with the starting rotation. I don't think Chris Paul's going to be on this team at the end of the year. He's going to be traded to a playoff team down the stretch. Jeremy Sohan was kind of hard to pinpoint yesterday. He was 6 of 11 shooting, played 27 minutes, also led the team in points with 18, had 6 rebounds, kind of lost himself down the stretch, man, with that flagrant foul that he had going up for a shot, kind of a dirty play. You could tell he was getting frustrated out there. And they lost their composure a bit. And I think they lost their composure because if you think the Dallas Mavericks played their best game that they could play, you're fooling yourself.
That's the first game.
The Spurs are not an 11-point team away from beating the Mavericks on the road, right? Everyone's like, they would have lost by 30. No, Vegas had this as a 7.5-point spread, right? They revised it to 8.5 midway through the game, and the Mavericks cleared it all. The Spurs were being toyed with. They're being toyed with. The Spurs have no class in that action over there, and Victor Wembanyama might just be a good player, man. When are we going to come to that realization? I mean, I know he's young. I know he's still 20 years old, turns 21 this winter. But what if he isn't that guy that takes over the league? What if it's not? What if he's just simply an all-star? What if he's simply just a top 10 player, which is great. I'm glad that we have him. But he cannot shoot the three, and we got to figure out when is that going to turn around? 1 of 8 from 3. And some of those shots had no chance of going in. Why is he out there shooting 8 3-pointers if he was a 30% shooter last year and now a 12.5% shooter this year? If we complain, Joe, you and I complained about Jeremy Sohan chucking up 6 3-point attempts a game last season, we need to start complaining about Wemby doing that because maybe Wemby's just not a shooter. The form looks good. The shot doesn't look broken. It's just they just don't go in.
They're fans, man. They make me laugh, man. Seth is like, Mike, please swipe your camera. The streak is getting to me.
No, it's the light. It's like the movie The Omen. Remember The Omen when the guy has a camera and it's like this, it's like this, and he gets killed by the spear that comes down. It's a premonition of things to come.
Yeah, but let's. I'm going to talk about the Spurs, man. Again, from what I saw from the game, and it's just the way that the offense is run. If Wemby is going to be your guy, get him in position. That way he can go ahead and have a better chance at scoring. Right now, the Spurs are showing it's one game, but they're showing that they don't know how to use this kid still. I mean, how hard is it to get him the fucking ball, bro?
Okay, whose fault is that, Joe?
Just saying, man.
No, Joe. Lay blame to somebody. Whose fault is it that they don't know how to use him yet?
You can go ahead and say it's the Coach Pop and the staff, man.
It is Coach Pop who doesn't know what the F to do with this guy, man. That is the thing, man. And you take a look at it.
Yeah, I'm taking perimeter shots, man.
Spurs were within, 6 to 8 points third quarter. Back-to-back turnovers by Sohan. What was Sohan doing when he got those turnovers back-to-back? Bringing the ball up the court. I was screaming at the TV, why is Sohan point guard? Chris Paul's in the game. You can't say, they denied Chris Paul the ball. No, because you could just get the ball back to him. Sohan bring the ball up the court, and he forked it up each time, dude. Just
what unit played
each time?
You know what unit played better? That second unit, dude.
They did.
And then when they put in the scrubs, Mamu and all them, they had more heart. They played with more balls than that starting unit, dude. That's all I'm saying, man. You want to see them play with some Webbles, dude, out there. And this team is still showing that they're soft as hell, dude. They need a girl pair, man. And then maybe that has to do with, once they go ahead and have the changing of the guard and they get somebody new to come in and coach the team, they might change things a little bit. But right now, this team still has no identity to me, and there's just still playing soft basketball out there. We got a $5 super chat incoming right now from Tavarius. We appreciate you, man. Really, we do. We appreciate the support you guys are giving us.
Yeah, Tavarius says on our $5 super chat, thank you so much for that. Says, how to beat the Spurs this year. Leave everyone open from 3 and clog the paint. Sohan, Trey, and Castle turn down open threes to get into the paint. Castle, thank you for bringing up Stephon Castle. We were hoping that he'd get 24 to 26 minutes. Of course not. He was one of the last off the bench. 18 minutes played, shot 3 of 7, had 8 points. We we predicted that he'd have 9 points, right? He had 8 points yesterday. Also had 5 assists. What I predict, Joe? I predicted 9 and 5 is what I predicted. He had 8 and 5. So had he made one more free throw. Had a few turnovers out there, a couple turnovers out there. But Stephon Castle did not get the run that I wanted to see him get. I thought we saw too much of Trey Jones. Trey Jones wasn't going to do anything against Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Get the F out the door. You know, Aguilar says, Mike cracks me up. You've seen a whole year-long sample size with tremendous promise as a rookie. Saw him ball out in the Olympics, and after one game, what if he's just mid? Ridiculous. I never said what if he's mid. Joe, what did I say? What if he's just an all-star? What if he's just an all-star?
Matt Gonzalez.
What if he's just a top 10 guy? What if he's Jason Tatum? What if he's Jaylen Brown? Because everyone is under the impression
Brown's the highest paid player in the NBA, man.
What's that?
Jaylen Brown's the highest paid player in the NBA.
Right. But what I'm saying is, and this goes back to a conversation, Joe, that you and I had with Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs a couple of months ago. This goes back to that conversation of everyone believes that Victor Wembanyama is going to be a dominant force in the NBA and that he's going to be head and shoulders above everybody else, just like his height, right? Head and shoulders above everybody else. That he was going to be the next Jordan, the next LeBron, the next Duncan, the next all-time great. What I'm saying is, what if he's just simply an all-star? What if he's simply a future Hall of Famer? We've had them before. We've had a George Gervin. We've had a David Robinson. We've had a Manu. We've had a Tony. These are all Hall of Famers. I'm not saying he's a scrub, but what I'm saying is, Joe, what if he's just an all-star? What if that shot never materializes?
It's only his second year, man. So I'm like with Isaiah. I think we still got to give him some time. It's going to be his second year. I think he's going to play a lot better this year, but I'm still not ready to say he's just going to be an all-star. I think he will be a dominant force in the NBA. It's just going to take him a little bit of time, and we're seeing him hopefully going on the trend up. And again, it's only one game. We're going to see what they look like Saturday in the home opener. But again, everybody's saying Collins sucked. No lies detected. The guy ain't it. The Spurs went ahead and paid him that.
I'm not gonna bag on Collins, man. Collins actually played with heart yesterday.
He played better, but he still ain't
I'll take it.
And the thing is that Spurs fans are starting to see the same thing that we've been saying for a while now. It's like a broken record. This team needs bucket getters, dude. They need people that can actually shoot the ball. And then the Spurs fans, shame on you guys for booing Harrison Barnes in preseason. He showed out, man. So you know what? Y'all need to stop. Man.
So we talk about how the Spurs don't shoot well from three, right? What if I was to tell you this? Maybe it's not that the Spurs don't shoot well from three. Because the Spurs yesterday, from three-pointers, shot 12 of 36, right? That's 33%. That's not good. You want to be north of 36%, right? But what if I told you that if you took out Wemby's three-point attempts, the Spurs shot 40% from the field from three? Yeah, Spurs shot well from three. Wemby sucked ass from three.
Let's see what the Spurs shot yesterday from three. They were 12 of 36.
Yeah, but you take out Wemby's 1 for 8. That's 11 for 28.
Yeah. Well, look, it doesn't matter any way you speak, any way you talk about it. As a whole,
that's 39%. Dude, the Spurs shot well from three. It was Wemby who sucked from
33.3. I don't care about Wemby. I'm talking the team as a whole. Look at this, what the Mavs did. They shot 19 of 44 from beyond the arc, good enough for 43.2%. The disparity here was going to be turnovers. Spurs had 19. The Mavs only had 9.
Dude.
Points in the paint that the Spurs bested the Mavs 44 to 38. Personal fouls, they were almost even. Spurs had 18. Mavs had 21. Assists, Spurs had more assists than Mavs, 30 to the Mavs 27. Rebounding, it was 52 rebounds compared to the Mavs who had 50. Spurs were on the boards, man. They were hitting the glass, but the problem is they just can't hit a bucket.
Well, midway through the third quarter, the Spurs had 0 second chance points. Let's go through the three-point shooting again. Champagny, 4 of 8, good. Sohan, 1 of 2, good. Barnes, 2 of 5. Good. Chris Paul, 1 of 4. All right. Zach Collins made his only attempt. 1 for 1. Keldon, 1 for 3 from 3. Branham, 1 for 3 from 3. Fine. Castle was 0 for 2 from 3, but one of those was a 94-foot attempt that he almost made at the end of the second quarter, right? So I'm not going to count that one, right? So if we take out the 94-foot attempt, and we take out Wemby's 1 for 8 performance there, the Spurs are 11 for 27 from 3. 11 for 27 from 3. My calculator says they were 41% from 3 last night when you take Wemby out of the equation.
But you can't take him out of the equation. You got to keep
Yes,
him.
you can. You can say, dude, you're not a shooter.
So at the
You're
end,
not a shooter. Attack the basket.
The stats tell me that the Spurs as a team shot 12 of 36, good enough for 33.3. That's the bottom line. They're just not a very good.
The stats tell me the Spurs shot 41% from 3.
They
and,
did,
and the same gripe.
What they are.
The same gripe that I had about Sohan. Are we going to do that thing where we can't criticize Wemby? Is that it? Are we gonna have that conversation, Joe?
Criticize them all you want. I'm just saying you can't change the stats at the end of the day. The day they are what they are.
They are what they are. But I'm just saying, everyone else shot well. Barnes shot well from 3. Sohan shot well from 3. Champagne shot exceptionally well from 3.
This is what the stats tell you, man.
I know, but the stats also tell you that there's one. What's that old saying, Joe? You're only as strong as your weakest link. Right. Yeah. What was the weakest link from 3 last night?
So it's
number 1.
So you're saying it's all Wemby's fault?
I'm saying that Wemby did not ball out, and maybe that's Pop's fault. Maybe that's Wemby's fault. And don't get me wrong, Wemby's going to have some all-world games where he's going to go get triple-doubles and all that. I don't doubt that he's going to be an all-star. I don't doubt that he's a top 20 player in the league, top 10 player in the league. What I have doubted, Joe, because maybe it's just I haven't seen it, right? I haven't seen oh my God, he's going to be the number 1 player in the world by far. Like, come on. Last night, the best player on the court was not Victor Wembanyama. The best player on the court was Luka Doncic.
Yeah, well,
the second best player on the court yesterday was not Victor Wembanyama. It was Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, well, we got another $5 super chat incoming here from Tavarius. Thank you again. We do appreciate the support.
This is a very good point, Tavarius, if you want to read this one out.
He says, Sohan in the paint is keeping Wemby around the perimeter. Are they a good pairing? And that's the thing here. It seems that Wemby plays better with who? One of his best friends on the team, and that is
Mamu.
Maybe
he plays better with Mamu, and I think that's the problem that you're going to have here is that Spurs fans have their favorites, right? And I've been critical of Jeremy Sohan in the past, but I will say this, though. Sohan has been playing better. Champagne has been playing better. You see some strides in what they do. But just because they're getting better doesn't necessarily mean that they are the right pairing with Victor Wembanyama. They got Sohan before Wemby, right? Had they known that they were going to get Wemby the year later, they probably would have drafted Jalen Williams. Right? They probably would have gotten Williams who went to Oklahoma City and has been a very good player. The pieces don't fit. And it might very well be a long season. Spurs have back-to-back games against the Houston Rockets. We have Oklahoma City Thunder coming up. We have a game against Portland and Utah coming up. The Spurs need to get some wins because last year, Spurs were 3-2 after 5 games, then lost 18 in a row.
And look, this is the thing. Tony Ornelas, Luka, Kyrie, Clay. Those 3 players there are better than what the Spurs have out there right now. Because each one of these players can shoot the ball. Who do the Spurs have right now that can get consistent buckets out there? Champagne?
Well, because this isn't that you would trust. Yesterday, we can't poo-poo Champagne or Sohan for that yesterday. I thought Sohan was a really weird game, man, because typically he brings it defensively, and then offensively he kind of struggles. Yesterday he did okay offensively. I like the way that he was cleaning up the glass. I like the way that he was down low for an easy dunk. He drove to the basket very well one time. Champagne had a monster dunk at one point in the game yesterday. I think they played well. The problem that they have is that there's only a certain number of skills that they have, right? You saw Sohan and Champagnie. Yeah, they put up good point totals. Yeah, they had good shooting percentages. But when it counted, when it mattered the most down the stretch, they got pickpocketed every time. Like it's like they were dared to dribble the ball up the court. That whole experiment with Sohan at point guard isn't something that's going to be a positive down the road. He can't dribble. He can't bring the ball up the court. He got pickpocketed twice. Champagnie, Kyrie stole it, took it the length of the court, dove for the ball, and then Klay Thompson got fouled on that attempt that Champagnie fouled him on. Klay Thompson, though, yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back to the NBA, Klay Thompson. We all thought he sucked and that he was washed. Klay Thompson shot 6 of 10 from 3.
I thought he was going to be coming off the bench, but no, they had him in the starting lineup.
22 points, man. Luka Doncic with 28 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists. Luka got banged up earlier in the game, and he still balled out.
Oh, he got hit in the pills, bro.
Yeah.
But, one thing I wanted to bring to light here is Wemby, dude, and the way that he dribbles the ball in the paint. When he's dribbling the ball, he's putting the ball as he's trying to make a move. He has a tendency to bring the ball to his right at the hip when he wants to try his motion to go to the basket. Players already know this, and what do? They wait for him to do it. Smaller, boom, they slap the ball out of his hand. I'm like, you're the tallest guy on the effing court. Bring the ball up. So it's harder for them to go ahead and swipe at it. And 2, if they do hit you, they're probably going to hit your arm, and you're going to go to the free throw line. He needs to do a better job, dude. They did that to him. I don't know how many times yesterday. I saw Luka do that to him consistently. I think I saw some of the other Mavs players do the same thing, poke the ball away from him easily. I'm like, what are you doing, man?
It's a basketball IQ type of thing. Like you can get away with that in Europe. You can get away with that in FIBA ball. But in the NBA defenses can be better sometimes. They do a better job of scouting. There's more time to scout in the NBA. And I go back to, would other coaches be using Wemby in the same way? Can you imagine if Wemby had an Eric Spoelstra? Can you imagine if Wemby had a Ime Udoka? Can you imagine if Wemby had a different head coach? Because sometimes, I mean, we see this in other sports, Joe. Baker Mayfield, we talk about that in the NFL. Baker Mayfield, drafted by the Cleveland Browns, struggled over there. They made the playoffs one time, but he struggled a lot over there. Thrives in a different setting. I wonder if that's going to be a case that happens with Victor Wembanyama, where he looks at us 2 years from now and thinks to himself, I would thrive more in a different setting under a different coaching staff.
We had Chase in the chat here, so we got a new viewer there. Chase, thanks for joining us again. Midtown Texas says, damn, y'all jumping off ship a little bit of rough waters. No, I'm not jumping off ship. I'm just telling you what the team is actually going to be. And it looks like they're going to be right around 35, 30 win mark that we've been predicting.
Reggie Miller didn't even make it sound that way, man. End of the game. The clock is ticking down, right, to 0. There's a Kevin Harlan, whoever is calling the game, looks over and says to Reggie Miller, Reggie, the Spurs played hard today. They came up short, losing by double digits. They show a lot of heart. Do you think that they're going to win more games? Do you think they're going to be a lot better this year? And Reggie was like, well, they just don't have the shooting or the talent. Which means that Reggie Miller knows that the Spurs played their asses off and the Mavericks were idling at 35 miles an hour.
Yeah. Well, look at here. We have Sam Salinas, $5 super chat. Appreciate you guys. Really do. Appreciate y'all's support, man. He says, mediocrity. Stop trying to find good in what we have, because what we have is mediocre and less than mediocre. Spurs fans, some of them are very critical of the team, and rightfully so, man. The Spurs fans just want to see the team get back to true form again,
Right. I mean, Champagnie is a very good backup player. Yeah. He'd be a stellar backup player. And to some extent, hate to say it, Spurs fans don't want to hear this, Sohan would be too. They're ideal backup players, man. Just like Trey Jones is. There's only 4 players on the Spurs team right now that are worth a damn to any other team out there in the NBA. That's Wemby. That's Stephon Castle because he's a rookie. That's Harrison Barnes because he has that experience. and that's Devin Vassell because we know that he can knock down some threes.
Yeah.
Right? Spurs have 4 players that would get run at any other team out there. You think Sohan is playing 30 minutes a game for any other team? Do you think Champagne's playing 30 minutes for any other team? Or Trey Jones or Kelvin Johnson? No. We've got 4 NBA players. We've got 4 other players that are backups, and we've got journeymen the rest of the way. And Reggie Miller pointed that out without actually saying it. Reggie Miller was like, just don't got it, man. They don't got the talent.
Well,
we're going to see that.
We're going to take a quick pause here in our programming, because what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and play a game with you guys. So it is Giveaway Fridays, right?
No, it's Giveaway Friday. There you go. Give it away, give it away, give it away now.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take a shot here and spin the wheel right before we bring on the great Johnny Walker. So here we go, man. I'm going to go ahead and give the wheel a spin. And today, what are we going to give out? I have a gift card here for Maggiano's, $25 gift card.
Nice.
Maggiano's, Little Italy there. We're going to go ahead and spin the wheel and see who wins. Tex-Mex Frank.
Nice.
Tex-Mex Frank, you are the winner of the Maggiano's $25 Little Italy gift card here. And
we also place, man.
Yeah, we also have this other gift card that we're going to give out too. This one is for the Magnolia Pancake House here. So we're going to go ahead and spin the wheel again. Like I said, we appreciate you guys for watching and supporting what we do. So let's give it a spin. Hanover Fist. He's the winner. So we got Tex-Mex Frank and Hanover Fist. Appreciate you boys for watching, man, and supporting everything we do. We'll get more giveaways coming next week. We'll be giving out some new stuff, man.
Very cool. Again, our chat is sponsored by MCS General Contracting. Our good friend Chris Leha out there doing a fantastic job with that diamond hard concrete. You can give them a call at 210-774-9155. In a moment, we're going to have Johnny Walker, Texas Longhorns great, who's also a member of the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame as a member of the Holmes Huskies. You remember him back in the day, back in the 80s with Wilbur Odom and the Cash Twins and all of that stuff. It was great times for the Huskies back in the day. He started over at UT. Fantastic. We've had him on weekly for the past couple of months or so, previewing the NFL, previewing UT football. Does a fantastic job when it comes to it all. We're glad to have Johnny on there. While we bring Johnny on, do you want to give some love to MCS, Joe?
That's exactly what I was going to do right now.
Let's give him some love.
MCS General Contracting, more than 30 years of combined experience in concrete placement. They are the best in the business. Honest pricing, high quality work. They get going on house foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks. If you want to extend the deck, extend the driveway. If you're a business and you need to put together a slab, a parking lot, or other concrete placement services or sidewalks, reach out to MCS General Contracting at 210-774-9155. They're confident in their skills, so give Chris Leha over at MCS General Contracting a call at 210-774-9155. And thank you for being a sponsor of this show.
That's right. The Diamond Hard Concrete by Chris Leha. I am a client myself. They came over to my house. They did a landing. They did a sidewalk at my house. And the drainage has worked out very, very, very well, man. And you know what? My dogs haven't gotten out of the house since. They haven't gotten out of the yard since. I used to dig around that thing, man.
So we do have the great Johnny Walker here with us. He's joining us now. Hey, Johnny, what's up? Thanks for joining the show.
Oh, man, I'm happy to be on the show.
Johnny, we're doing a temperature check because of what was normally going to be considered to be a gimme game for the Texas Longhorns this weekend, taking on Vanderbilt. It's like you see that on the schedule. You just check mark that as an instant W. But Vanderbilt, after beating Kentucky, after beating Missouri, after beating Alabama, and taking the goalposts up and down Broadway Street there in Nashville, chucking it into the water, getting fined $100,000 because of it. Now ranked 25 in the nation. Temperature check, Johnny Walker. Scale of 1 through 10. 1 being not worried at all, 10 being very worried. How worried are you about UT going into Nashville to take on Vanderbilt this weekend?
You there with us, Johnny? I don't know if he's there. Oh, I think he dropped the call. I have to call him back and get him back on.
Okay, not a problem. But we're talking about the fact that UT has a very difficult game on their hands this weekend. Now, Vegas doesn't think so. Vegas thinks that UT is going to win this game handily, but UT is going into Nashville to take on Vanderbilt, a Vanderbilt team that is ranked in the top 25 for the first time in years. I can't remember the last time this happened. Texas favored by 18.5 points. UT coming in at 6-1. Vanderbilt at 5-2. Over under set at 51.5. For those of you who like to bet, I know my good friend Alex Noriega, who's oftentimes in the chat, likes to bet. It is plus 600, Joe, for the Vanderbilt to go in there and win that game outright. Kickoff's going to be at 3:15 on the SEC network. Plus 600. I'm looking at this game and I'm thinking to myself the question: who's going to end the game? Who's going to start the game? Is it going to be Quinn Ewers? Is it going to be Arch Manning? That's the big deal, right? Is there a quarterback controversy brewing in Austin? Quinn Ewers was pulled out of the game in the last game against Georgia. UT lost to Georgia at DKR in an embarrassing fashion by a couple of touchdowns. I'm worried about this game, Joe. I am really worried about this game because this could be a trap game for the Longhorns because maybe, just maybe, the teams that they beat aren't as good as advertised. Early in the season, the Longhorns went out to Ann Arbor and beat the Michigan Wolverines out there, but Michigan had a new head coach, new quarterback, a new system. UT goes over there and trounces them. UT goes to Dallas at the Cotton Bowl and beats OU. That rivalry rekindled this time on the SEC side of the house. And you look at that, you think to yourselves, okay, well, that's a good win. But now you're looking at Oklahoma barely being a 500 team themselves. So maybe Oklahoma's not that good of a team. So maybe, just maybe, these Texas wins are a little bit not as advertised. Maybe they're just not as good as we think. But Texas is still in line to make the playoff. Even if they lose this week, they're still in line to make a playoff run.
Yeah,
Joe, were we able to get Johnny on?
Yeah, I sent him the link so he can go ahead and join us, and we'll just bring him on that way.
Very nice. Chris, Chase reaches out to us and says he's taking Texas at 19, minus 19. Not a worry at all. Hand of a fist, given this symbol here, say that he's going for the Horns. Tim reminded us that the Texas has a bye week after the Vandy game. Hand of a fist says UT should be taking revenge on Vandy for losing last week.
You know,
Dude, Vanderbilt's a legit team, man.
Yeah, the one thing I forget is that when we go ahead and do the call-in with Johnny, if you're not here in studio, he can't hear you, man, because of the way the audio's pumped through. When we're using the audio, when we're using the other system, when you're doing remote, when you're joining us remotely, he can't hear you.
Okay, well, ask him this question: Should the Longhorns be worried about Vanderbilt?
No, I'm waiting for him to come in. I said.
Oh, okay.
So that's the reason why we had to switch.
No problem, man. I have a stuffy nose right now, man. I always get sick at the change of the seasons, every single time, and I'm congested. It's so bad that I'm drinking coffee right now. I never drink coffee.
Yeah, dude. You should put a little bit of whiskey in it, dude.
Yeah, that's really going to help the immune system, right? A little bit of Buffalo Trace.
It does, man. It'll help you. It'll help you. Help the voice at least.
No, I need a Ponte Vicks, man. I got to put some Vicks underneath my feet, put some socks on, and just go to bed.
Tell your girl, there you go. Sana. Get the tube of Vicks out, rub it on you.
Cowboys back in action this Sunday night, man. Joe, we're going to talk to Johnny Walker about this as well, but I brought this up yesterday. If I had to bet on this game, I'd bet on Dallas. I crap on the Cowboys all the time, but if I had to do it, I would bet on the Cowboys. Too many injuries there for the 49ers, man. Brandon Ayuk out, Jawan Jennings out, George Kittle injured, Chris McCaffrey hurt, his backup running back hurt. Brock Purdy's going to go hut and look around and have nobody to give the ball to. Offensive line hurt, Nick Bosa rather, injured as well. Dude, this is a primed win for the Cowboys. And the Cowboys do that, right? Part of the script, right? I hate using the script, right? Part of it is you can't eliminate the Cowboys from playoff contention just yet.
There it is.
That the script goes that the Cowboys have to be part of the mix, right? They have to be in the mix when it's all said and done. They got the Niners this weekend, and I see Johnny Walker getting things all organized over there.
You hear us, Johnny?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
Very nice, Johnny. How's it going, my man? How have you been?
I'm gonna just try.
I'm doing okay. I'm still a little shell shocked, but we'll get past it. We'll get past it.
Okay.
He came on and jumped off.
Very nice. Tony O'Neill reminding us that there he is. There he is.
There we go. Sorry about that.
All right, Johnny.
There
We're
we
going
go.
to talk about the Longhorns in a second, but we kind of deviated to the Cowboys.
Mhm.
You know, I make fun of the Cowboys all the time. I'm a Cowboy hater, right? I'm a Cowboy hater. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm sick as a dog right now, but I'm a Cowboy hater. I think the Cowboys are going to win this game this weekend against the Niners. I think they're going to go into San Fran, a team that has no McCaffrey. Their backup running back is hurt. Brandon Ayuk is out. Jawan Jennings is out. George Kittle's out. Bosa might miss this game. Dude, if the Cowboys don't win this game, just pack it up. Pack it up.
I think if the Cowboys don't win this game with that many players out, I think the person that will be packing up is McCarthy. I think that will be the final straw, and Jerry Jones will make that move.
Said,
Okay.
don't get on the bus, man. Don't get on the bus.
Yes.
Don't get on the bus. Talking to Johnny Walker, who's a Holmes Husky legend, member of the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame. He's also a
Yes,
Texas
sir.
Longhorns great. This weekend, as I mentioned earlier in the show, was supposed to be that instant W for the Longhorns, right? You look at the schedule, you go, that's going to be a tough game against Georgia, tough game against OU, tough game against Michigan. But you look at the word Vanderbilt, and you think W. Instant W. We've seen Vandy go out there and beat Alabama. That whole dramatic thing where they took the goalposts out of the stadium 3 miles up Broadway Street and chucked it into the river, which was great. Okay. They follow it up. They beat Missouri. I believe they beat Kentucky as well. This team is for real. Scale of 1 through 10, 1 being not worried at all, 10 being very worried. What are your thoughts on Vanderbilt this weekend?
Honestly, I would have to rate that a 1. And the reason why I say that is I think that Texas just played a horrible football game against Georgia. It's very, very unlike Steve Sarkisian not to have a good game plan against Georgia. And I think Texas needs to redeem themselves. So I think that they will go into to Vanderbilt and take care of business. I was very disappointed with the way they played against Georgia.
Now, Vegas does have it as an 18-point line, so Vegas does believe that UT is going to go in there and handily win this game. But from a shock perspective, because you look at Vanderbilt, and obviously UT has a better staff, better coaching staff, better players, better caliber of players, because who the hell goes to Vanderbilt, right? But there's something magical going on over there, man. There's something magical going on over there. And you're telling me Vegas is giving me 6-1 odds that Vanderbilt can't pull off another upset? I'm just saying that it's a very, very interesting dilemma that the UT has over there. Now, the big dilemma is who's going to be the starting quarterback, Quinn Ewers or Arch Manning?
Oh, I don't think there's any question that Quinn Ewers will be the starting quarterback. I will just say that he'll be on a short leash, though. I was surprised that we did get to see Archie Manning. He wasn't able to do much against the Bulldogs either. But there's no reason why Quinn Ewers won't start. I know that one thing, though. He will get pulled if he doesn't take care of business early on in the football game. Because as you can see, you don't want to be in a position where you're trailing. And it was tough being down 23-0 against the Bulldogs.
So Tony Ordalis, one of our viewers, has a question, asking the question, did Quinn Ewers, was he just rusty and have a bad game? Or is this something that is a bad sign of things to come?
I think Kirby Smart is a great defensive mind, and it just seemed like Georgia was just 1 or 2 plays ahead of Texas. I mean, they came in, they executed their game plan flawlessly. The turnovers hurt. He was 25 for 43 for 200 and what did he throw for? 211 yards. But most of that came in the second half. I just think that Texas just didn't have a good game plan. I think they kind of take them lightly. I don't know why you would take Georgia lightly, but they just didn't play very well. I think Coach Sark was very optimistic about having the opportunity to play Georgia again, which again confirmed the fact that they just weren't ready to play against Georgia, and Quinn wasn't ready to play either, and they just weren't very successful against the Bulldogs.
Do you think this season's different than most? Because it used to be, Johnny, that it was all about getting the conference championship, right? You had to be the Big 12 champion. You had to be the SEC champion. If you want to make the playoffs, when there was a 14 playoff, you had to win your conference, right? Remember back in the day when it was like, is it going to be Bama or Georgia getting in? It was controversial. Now, I kind of feel like winning the conference doesn't matter anymore because it's a 12-team playoff. One of them is going to be a non-power 5, so really it's a top 11 playoff. And Texas just needs to be in the top 11 when it's all said and done. That the conference championships don't matter anymore. Or am I just thinking about this incorrectly?
I do believe that the conference championships won't have any bearing. I think the NCAA did put that in as far as the playoffs are concerned. But I think it's important to win the conference because you might have the chance of getting a bye. So that's going to be important when it comes to scheduling and what teams you get to play against and whether you have home field advantage. So that's always going to bode well into how the outcome comes toward the end of the season. So you want to win and you want to be ranked high when it comes to being in the playoff bracket.
If Texas played Georgia 10 times, how many would Texas have won? Is it just a bad matchup?
No, I don't think that. I just think that the Texas and Coach Sark just weren't prepared. They just weren't ready to play. Usually, you could see them execute offensively a lot better than what they did. I mean, Georgia just had a great defensive plan, man. They just came in and they executed well. I think that Texas, if they play them again, it will definitely be a different outcome. I think that I would probably say if they played 10 times, it would be 5-5. I believe Georgia's got a good football team as well.
I was surprised that Texas didn't capitalize on those Carson Beck interceptions. I was like, man, the defense came to play initially.
Yeah.
And the offense just couldn't do anything with it. They were just coughing the ball back up, and they were giving them the opportunities right back. It's, turnovers are so key in football, whether it be NFL or college. And they got the gift, and they gave the gift right back to them. And that's what disappointed me the most.
I was going to tell you, Johnny, one of the things that I noticed from this game, from the Longhorns in the Georgia game, is just how fast that Georgia defense was, man.
Yeah.
They were good the whole from the get-go, man. They were just after that quarterback, and it didn't matter if it was Ewers, if it was Manning, they were on them, man. They just would not let the offense really get going. And that Georgia defense was just stifling, man. You got to tip your hat to the Georgia coach and just say, great scheme, man. Great scheme.
Yeah, they had Texas scheme. They had their number. I mean, like I said, they seemed like they were a play ahead on every down. They just played an exceptional football game. I was worried about Georgia's offense and passing, but I think Carson Beck was 23 for 41 for 175 yards. So they did a good job of holding the offense, the passing game. But Georgia those turnovers. I think Georgia had 17 points off of Texas turnovers, and that just made the difference in the football game. You can't turn the ball over when you're playing against a good football team like Georgia.
Now, David Otwater, one of our viewers, is asking about the offensive line. He was saying that, quote unquote, they sucked this past game. You worried about the offensive line at all?
No, I think Georgia's defensive line makes a lot of teams suck. I don't think our offensive line is any danger. Any of the starters are any danger. They just had a great game plan. They had the right players to make the right plays, and they just executed well, and that just makes a difference. I think that they play against Georgia again. I guarantee Sark will have a better scheme going up against that defense, and I think that it would be a different turnout. But that was Georgia Bulldogs' day. You got to give them credit. You got to give credit where credit is due. They just outplayed Texas, and they were able to pull off a victory.
I got
Texas after this game has a bye and then has 3 winnable games. They've got Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky. They should be able to dispatch all of those 3 teams, even though they're decent teams. They should be able to beat them. And then they've got A&M. A&M has
Yeah.
what I call a playoff game this weekend because the only two teams that are undefeated in the SEC right now are
Mhm.
not Georgia, it's not Bama, it's not Texas. The two undefeated teams in the SEC just flying under the radar, right number 8 and 14,
Yeah.
LSU, Texas A&M. True or
Yeah.
false? Winner of this game is automatically in the playoffs.
Ooh, that's a big one. Man, the only reason why I'll say no is because you never know what's going to happen in the SEC. It's one of the top conferences in college football, and it's the top conference for a reason. Anybody can get beat on any given day. You've got that kind of talent. This is now does it seed well? I think it's important that for either of the teams to win and keep the momentum going, but I would. I would be surprised if LSU beats Texas A&M. I hate to say
Really?
that. I think Texas A&M's got a good football team. I really believe that they're playing very well, and this is the best we've seen Texas A&M play for quite some time. It's been a while.
I was
Both
going to ask
teams
you
have
a
something in
question,
common.
Johnny.
They lost in the first week of the season.
Yeah.
I believe
to Notre
A&M
Dame.
lost to Notre Dame,
Mhm.
and USC beat LSU. So
Mhm.
they've been hot ever since. What's that, Joe?
So the question I'm going to ask you, Johnny, is
Mhm.
Longhorns, and this is something that the fans have brought up as well.
Mhm.
Longhorns just a product of the record that they have as far as the teams that they've been playing, because it's been a lot said right now that the
Mhm.
Longhorns can't beat teams with winning records, much like the Cowboys. What you got to say about that, Johnny?
That's it's kind of funny in college football. I think that more so than in the NFL, I think the fans and the atmosphere have a lot to do with the games as well. I wouldn't say I think Texas has a great football team. You just saw them not execute well, and you can see the difference that makes when you're playing in a tough conference like the SEC. I think you can have a bad game in the Big 12 and you can still come out victorious, but you're not going to be able to do that in the SEC. And there's just too many good football programs, and you got to be playing your best game every time you get out on the football field.
Okay. That's a good response. You know, our good friend Jeff Garcia just texted me right now, and he wanted me to show you this. So I'm going to show this on screen. And he says,
Mhm.
shout out to his good friend, Austin Doc there. He said he went into action mode to help save a young man who was carried away by EMS because of cardiac arrest issues in a recent UT game.
Wow.
Dr. Ryan told the freshman's family they recognized his efforts, and today they thanked him for saving their son's life. So what a thing to do. You know, you're a doctor,
Yeah.
you're in the stands, and
Mhm.
glad that you're able to jump in and save this young man's life, you know, during the context of a UT football game. So
Yeah.
good on him, man. Good on him.
That's a great story, man. Considering that how many people are in that stadium, I think it was like 105. It seats 105,000, and I've been at every game, and it doesn't seem like there's very many empty seats. So to be able to recognize that and to be able to come to his aid, that's a hats off to that person. That was an incredible story.
Just saved a life at the UT football
Yeah.
game. So, man, that's UT family coming together, Johnny.
There it is. That's it. Yeah, and they came together too. We got to talk about this incident because I've never seen this happen before. I call it the Watergate, Bottlegate, whatever you want to call it. All the fans throwing the water bottles on the football field. I've never seen that happen. Nor have I ever seen, because of that, I've never seen a play call changed. Because you had some fans who looked like they're ready to come out on the football field. I do believe it was a bad football call on the interception, on the Texas interception. They did reverse the call, but it did cost Texas $250,000. They were fined by the SEC $250,000 because of that.
Yeah.
So we have a question coming in from Tim Gonzalez, who's one of our loyal
Mhm.
listeners, asking the question because again, one of the teams that's not in the traditional Power Five is going to make the playoffs.
Mhm.
Asking the question: is SMU the third best team in Texas behind UT and A&M? And what are your thoughts on a team like the Ponies
Wow.
of Dallas
Man,
making their way into the playoffs?
Man, that's a good question. Wow. You know what? I am surprised by SMU. They have really turned that program around. Sometimes you think it's like a one-hit wonder, but they have consistently over the past couple of years have been very successful. That's a very good question. I actually thought that Texas State was probably going to be the third best team this year, but SMU has consistently put up the numbers, and I think they probably would be the third best Texas football team. I would agree with that statement.
Okay, so is the fourth best Texas team the Dallas Cowboys? Wait, no, they'd be the fifth best because the Houston Texans would be above them, right? Talk to me about your Cowboys, man. What are the Cowboys going to do to win this weekend?
Man,
Pray. I don't know. I don't know, man. I can't. I don't know about my Cowboys. I don't know what's going on, man. They just are not. They're just not performing, man. I really don't know what it is. I truly do believe that if they do not show up against the San Francisco 49ers, there will be some changes on that staff. I would be surprised if McCarthy would be able to get through that. I just don't see that happening. There's a lot of money out on that football field, and they're just not playing up to the standards that everybody's expecting them to play up to.
What did you think about those reports earlier this week where former Cowboy players were talking about the media circus that is involved in being a member of the Dallas Cowboys? Dalton Schultz, who when he went to the Houston Texans, mentioned this, saying that, hey, it's a circus out here. It doesn't lend itself to focusing on football. Some of these former players and current players were talking about how the Cowboys allow group tours from fans and whatnot, and to come by and poke at the glass and whatnot, watch you work out, watch you lift weights and things like that. Do you think that the Cowboys are getting fair criticism when it comes to this? And do you think that maybe it is too much of a media circus over there for the Cowboys to actually have a culture of winning, or is this just nonsense?
I think it's nonsense and it's an excuse. If you want to be called America's team, then you got to show up every week. And they're not called America's team for no reason, but they just haven't been consistent with the way that they've played. And that's just a part of the game. I mean, I playing at University of Texas. I mean, that was one of the top college football teams. I mean, you're going to be in the limelight. You put that star on your helmet, then the expectations are always going to be high. You have an owner like Jerry Jones who's always outspoken. The criticism is going to be there. The attention is going to be there. So the best thing for you to do is to be able to perform every Sunday. And if you can't do that, then yes, you're going to have some problems.
Sam Salinas is coming out to us on our YouTube stream saying that Johnny Walker has been pretty accurate on his calls this year. Says McCarthy's tenure ending this weekend is a bold one. So let's get those predictions out there. Okay, you have A&M beating LSU. You have UT beating Vandy. Give me a score on that UT Vandy game.
That's a tough one. I am going to say 35-17. 35-17, Texas wins.
So right around where the Vegas line is. I'm going to say that game's going to be decided by 3 points either way.
Ooh,
Texas wins by 3, Vandy wins by 3.
Man,
close
that's
game.
a bold prediction there. You think it's going to be a close game?
Well, I mean, because the argument could be made that UT hasn't played that many good teams. Michigan, new coach, new offensive coordinator, new quarterback going in there in the second week of the season. OU's a 500 team. Then maybe, just maybe, some of those quality wins were just simply wins.
I could see that, but here's the thing. I know that Sark is a great head football coach and a great offensive mind. I think Texas was embarrassed by their performance against Georgia, and I think that they're going to go in against Vanderbilt with a chip on their shoulder. They've got something to prove. They were the number one ranked team in the country, and I thought rightfully so. They did not play like the number one team in the country against Georgia, and I think that they're going to show up big when they play against Vanderbilt. They've got something to prove, and I think that Vanderbilt is going to be in some trouble. I think Texas is going to come out and perform the way everybody expected them to perform against Georgia.
I'm right with you, Johnny. I think my prediction for the final score is going to be 35 Texas. I give Vanderbilt 10 points, man.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get some Cowboy predictions on here. Cowboys taking on Sunday Night Football.
It's hard to call Dallas Cowboys games. I think San Francisco's going to win. I hate to say it. With all of the players, all the injuries that they have, I just don't think Dallas has it together. They're just not clicking on the same cylinder. And I think that San Francisco is going to pull up an upset. I don't know if they're favored, but I do believe San Francisco is going to win the football game.
Okay,
you
the
think that
Cowboys
the
might be
Cardinals-
America's team, but let's talk about Texas's team, the Houston Texans.
Well, we'll ask him. Mike, is this it for McCarthy? If the Cowboys lose this game, that's
Yeah.
it. He's
Yeah,
out.
I think he's gone. Yeah, his days at Texas, or excuse me, the Dallas Cowboys are numbered. If they don't win this game, not just win, but they're gonna have to show. They're gonna have to have a strong performance. Because I know that the boos are gonna be out. I know that everybody's gonna want to point the finger at someone, and Jerry Jones is always good at pointing the finger at somebody else. So I think McCarthy will be the one that will take the fall.
He was set up to fail, dude. He was set up to fail from the get-go. Didn't get many players. Didn't extend his contract. I mean, I've seen the movie Moneyball. You can't be a lame duck coach and be successful.
I think the biggest mistake that they made was not going out and get them a true number one running back. I think that you've seen what Derrick Henry has done with the Baltimore Ravens, and I think he lives in Dallas. He wanted to play with the Dallas Cowboys, and Jerry Jones just did not pull the trigger at any of the top running backs in free agency, and it's really hurting the Dallas Cowboys today.
He got Zeke, Johnny. That's who he wanted.
I said top running backs.
Oh, I know that.
I didn't even know Zeke was on the football team. Is he activated? I didn't even know he was playing, man.
Hey, man.
I mean, nothing against Zeke. I mean, he's had a phenomenal career, but he's just not the Zeke of old. And they need the Zeke of old to be able to be successful for the Dallas Cowboys to be successful. And I just don't think he has enough juice in the tank to be able to make that happen.
That is Johnny Walker, Longhorn great, Holmes Husky great. Thank you for being on with us with the predictions, man. Thank you so much. And
Absolutely.
We'll talk to you soon. Hope you feel I'm getting a little bit lightheaded, dude. I'm getting lightheaded. I think I got some NyQuil in me. Have a good day, dude. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Take care.
Joe.
All right.
Joe, I'm fading out, dude.
You on fumes?
I'm fading out, dude. I'm congested right here.
Before we do this, then let's go ahead and give some love to Jeff Garcia, man, from Locked On.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and play his jingle here. Locked On Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked On Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on threads at Jeff G Ken's 5 SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow, not only on Threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/@LockedOnSpurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
That's right, man. I subscribe on Spotify and YouTube, and you should as well. Joe, what's Jeff working on today?
Just working on some things, man. I went ahead and took a look at his X, and right now he's putting up some information in regards to a story here that the Clippers have issued a statement on Kawhi Leonard's trainer's lawsuit versus the team.
Oh, I saw that.
It appears now that the Clippers are suing his personal trainer for kind of meddling in affairs, that he shouldn't be.
Meddling with the Spurs.
Yeah, and that goes back to the Spurs as well. So, I guess Kawhi's listening to the trainer, but, he has a lot of things going on with the Spurs as well. He's talking about also DeJounte Murray, and DeJounte Murray underwent a successful surgery on his fractured left hand and will miss 4 to 6 weeks. And of course, he's going to have his recap there as well, which you can go ahead and check out on, what happened yesterday in yesterday's game versus the Mavs.
Follow Jeff Garcia for what he does, and also put my number up there if you can, Joe, 210-508-0369. If you have any questions about anything retirement planning related, insurance related, life insurance, disability, long-term care. Joe, I'm going to call it early, dude. I'm fading.
You're done. It's all right, dude. It's a Friday, man. So
everyone have a fantastic weekend. I am starting to get loopy.
Still Magnolias?
Yeah, I hope so. We'll see.
Get you a little something to drink, get you some Fireball.
I gotta get that medicine ball from Starbucks, man.
There you go, man. All right, guys. Well, we're out of here. Mike's already done for the day, dude. We'll see
All
you
right.
all on Monday.